Round one, fight!
What's going on, BW Sports One World? It is your boy DaLion, and I'm here for another Combat Zone one-on-one with the Irish Spartan himself, Scott O'Shaughnessy. What is happening, my friend? How we doing?
Doing good, brother. What's going on? How you doing?
Wonderful, man. Thank you for taking the time out, and appreciate you spending a little bit of time with me in the BW Sports One World, getting ready for a big fight.
Huge.
Yeah,
it's a big one.
Yeah, it is. I mean, so before we get into the BKFC, let's give the BW Sports One World a little bit of background on, the Irish Spartan himself. I know you got a big, a hefty line of MMA career fights. So just talk about, where you're from, where your combat sports career started and how it's evolved.
Yeah, so I'm from Slidell, Louisiana. I started, this whole journey back in 2005. I started training with Rich Clementi, who obviously Melvin has his own history with. But Rich, I trained with Rich for over a decade. I was one of his main training partners on his good runs in the UFC and stuff. And just I've been doing this for a long time. Brown belt, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu as well. Yeah, it's been a journey. I turned pro in 2010. Started fighting in 2005. So I got 15, 16 years of fight time and over 20 pro fights, over 40 fights, all in all, including boxing and kickboxing, amateurs, all that stuff. So I'm definitely not new to the game.
That's no lie, sir. Definitely been around for a little bit. So let's talk about it. You mentioned your opponent's name, Melvin Gallard. That's right, folks. The ex-UFC guy coming over BKFC, fighting Scott on his debut fight. Scott, how did you feel? How did you feel when you got that call and saying, hey, we're going to bring you into the BKFC, but here's your opponent for the first time?
Yeah, that's pretty much how it was. I got a call from Nick, my manager, Nick Sherlock, and Jeff Hoffman. They were like, hey, we got an opportunity for you. The BKFC is talking about you. And obviously it's hell yeah, it sounds awesome. And they're like, they want you to fight Melvin Gallard. First of all, he's a legitimate name. You know what I'm saying? There's no doubt about it. He's well known throughout the sport. You could probably go anywhere in the MMA community and they'll know who that is. So there's some notoriety there. But for me, given that this sport is something that's right, fits in my coattails pretty good in my wheelhouse, I don't mind it. It's a tough fight. Absolutely. A lot of people might want an easier route on their first debut to see, a new thing. I understand that. But at the same time, there's a lot more to be gained, from a victory over such a notable name and such a well-respected fighter. So I couldn't be more ecstatic, honestly. I love the opportunity. I like the matchup. He's going to bring a good fight. He's going to be a tough. It's just a feather in the cap, to get a victory or just to get a good fight against a guy like that. I'm stoked, man.
Yeah, like you said, just to have a good fight alone against a name that big in the fighting world, could set you off on a good start in the BKFC. Now, when you get, and I say when you get your arm raised that night, that's going to completely blow the career up, and hopefully so.
It's going to be a game changer for me, and I think there's a lot of things that I bring to the table. Obviously, I feel as I'm a very talented fighter, but I'm not just a run-of-the-mill brawler type fighter. I'm a well-spoken guy. I try to do things a different way. I want to make this a big thing for me, both professionally and personally. Mm-hmm. And this, like I said, this is a foot in the door. And I really, truly believe there's going to be a really good relationship built between me and the BKFC. And this is just a starting point for it. I truly believe that.
Good. Definitely. I'm looking forward to seeing it for sure. So let's kind of backstep up a little bit from MMA to bare knuckle. What made you decide that, okay, this is the way to go for me now?
I'm getting a little older. I've been, like I said, I've been doing this for a long time. I got a lot of miles on me. 35 years old. Look, in pro athlete years, I'm almost ancient. You know what I'm saying? But
I'm with you.
But this is something that really fits what I do. Everybody probably says that. It's right up, but I mean, it's just the truth. I'm a hard puncher. I got a good defense. And I think that this is just a sport and an avenue that I could take that fits in exactly what my game plan would be if I was fighting Melvin in MMA. Mm-hmm. It'd be no different. You know, it's now I don't have to worry about the things that he's got to do. I can just really fine tune everything into one avenue, which is throwing hard punches and have a good defense. And it just makes it training a little bit that much more focused and centralized. And I'm really enjoying the change of pace right now between MMA training and then bare knuckle boxing training. It's going really well.
So let's hear the difference. And I've talked to several bare knuckle fighters over the past few weeks, but let's hear your aspect of the difference in between just the training style. Now, granted, we know that there's no ground game. You know, there's no knees and elbows. There's no Muay Thai, no kickboxing part. So obviously, yes, you're focused on the hands. But what are the different things that you're bringing into this fight camp compared to other fight camps, just in the boxing part of it?
It's focused on just pure combinations, volume, and just really getting just comfortable throwing large amounts of punches. A lot of times in MMA, it's 1-2 shots, leg kick, 1-2 shots, shoot. Very rarely do you see guys just stay in the pocket and just exchange. It's just not something that we typically do in MMA. There's guys that do it, but it's not typical. It's typically the striking is only setups for takedowns and things like that. That's how it really MMA works. Wrestling is such a big factor. Mm-hmm. This is obviously that doesn't come into play.
Right.
It's just punch, move, but it's moving to set up other strikes. It's not moving to set up knees or elbows or kicks or takedowns. It's punching for the sport of punching. And that's something, again, you look at, you don't have what I have to worry about. What am I open for? Will this combination make me susceptible to a takedown or to a leg kick? That doesn't really exist here. You can really be comfortable throwing just hands, and the downside of that isn't as broad. You can be more just committed to throwing hard punches, understanding that they're coming back at you, but knowing that's all that's coming back at you. You know what I'm saying? So
right.
there's just a little bit less to focus on, and that makes training a little bit easier. But also you can fine tune it and you can really focus on what can I become better? This camp's not jiu-jitsu or this camp's not wrestling. It's all this all day, and that's all we're working on. And I can deal with that. I'm like I said before, I'm really enjoying it.
Well, good. So let's throw this question out there as a fan looking in.
Yeah.
Over the 16-year career that you've had in MMA, what has been your two-part question? Your favorite fight of your career and your hardest opponent so far in your fighting career?
I fought a lot of guys that are tough. I try to always pick my opponents based off who is, the best available in that time. I fought a lot of guys. Eric Scallon was a hell of a fighter that I fought. I've had, and I fought. It's hard to say one specifically. I fought pretty much, if you think of all the best guys Louisiana has to offer, for the most part, I fought them. Thomas Webb. There's a lot. There's a lot. I fought for Bellator. It's probably one of the ones that really adds a lot of memory to it, just because it was on a big platform. Mm-hmm. But so I guess if I had to pick and choose, I won a couple, local titles. There's a lot of good memories, but fighting for Bellator was a big one. Knocking out Romelis Thompson was a big one. He was a less experienced guy at the time, but still, you win a championship belt. It's kind of a cool thing. Mm-hmm. My kids have that hanging in their room now. But as far as, I think my favorite fight probably was against Thomas Webb. Okay. For me, only because he's a hell of a fighter and we went the distance. I lost a close decision. I thought I won it, but I was okay with that. But that's probably my favorite fight. Even I wasn't even victorious in it. But I thought it was just a good, tough fight, which is kind of the reason why we do this to begin with. There's some of us who want the cupcakes. We want the easy routes. Those guys exist, the pick'em fighters, but I've never been that guy. I want somebody to push me, and I want to fight the best version of somebody. And I think I fought a hell of a version of Thomas that night. So that was probably my favorite fight, and that's what I'm hoping for. Come the 19th with Melvin too. So I want to fight a good Melvin.
Well, I think, let's hope, knock on wood, as a fan, I definitely want to see the best of both of you in that ring at the same time. Just going out and leaving it all out in the ring. To kind of go with what you said just a minute ago about, being the not necessarily winning the fight, but it was your favorite because you felt like you left it all in the ring, and you weren't victorious, but just that feeling of accomplishment, of knowing that you left it all out there. I mean, how does that feel to a person as yourself, or any fighter per se, not getting the win, but yet knowing that you gave it your all?
Yeah, and I've heard a lot of people say this before. Fighting. It's not the sport of winning. It's the sport of fighting. Obviously, winning is it's a side effect, and it's something that we get from good preparation mixed with a good performance. We want to win, but a fighter wants to fight. There's nothing worse going out there and either losing quickly, or sometimes you even get dissatisfied, believe it or not, winning quickly.
Yeah,
we bust our ass training, and of course, if you win soon, that's a good thing. But there's something to be said knowing that I've trained my body and my mind so hard, so meticulously, and we get in the ring or we get in the cage and we leave everything there. And win or lose, there's honor in that. And I think that's kind of the main thing that a lot of fighters look for. This is an honorable sport, and it should be treated as such. And I enjoy leaving everything there. That's what fans come to see. They come to see the knockouts. They come to see that stuff too, but they come to see two people laying on the line. And there's a lot to be noted for that. No matter what sport you're in, whether it's bare knuckle, MMA, whatever, people want to see a good fight, and they want to see two guys leave every freaking thing there. There's no reason to take it back with you. The work's done. Leave that shit in the ring. That's Absolutely. What I would say. I've always been the guy that says if you're able to walk around backstage after a fight, you didn't fight hard enough. I've always felt that way. I'm serious. I've always felt that way.
Yep.
Whatever I have in me, training, everything, that shit stays there, and it doesn't come with me. And I'm okay with that. You know what I'm saying? And that's my attitude towards fighting, and it always has been.
Well, like you just said, in other words, win or lose, no matter what, leave it all in the cage or ring, yep. or how, whatever your realm of sport is. Now, I have a feeling that you've never had your toughest fight in the cage or in the ring, because, your day job is something that just, you work down in Louisiana, and I'll let you tell the story, but, I don't think the cage in the ring has ever been your toughest opponent. And elaborate on this of why I'm saying it that way.
Yeah, that's true. I'm a police officer. I'm a detective now, and I investigate major crimes, all that, murders, rapes, stuff like that. I'm a SWAT team operator, so we're the guys knocking down doors, going after the baddest guys around here. So to say that my toughest fights have not been in a professional fighting environment is an understatement. They have not been. I've not to go into a lot of detail with stuff I've experienced, but I've experienced every single thing there is in law enforcement, up to and including gunfights. I've been in those things too. So yeah, that turns the volume down a little bit when it comes to stepping in a professional fighting environment. I could give two shits what that person's going to do to me, or what they could try to do to me. I've seen it. I've done a hell of a lot worse and walked out, and not only walked out, but continued fighting through it.
Right.
I didn't run away from the hard stuff. I stayed in the fight, just like I'm going to stay in the fight anytime I step inside of a ring. Yeah, this is, the fear aspect. People say, there's fear of underperformance. There's no fear as far as what can this person do to me. I could give two shits. So that's yeah.
Yeah. And I would say that in your shoes, obviously nobody can disagree that you are saying it absolutely 100% correct, that nobody gives a shit. You don't give a shit who they put up in front of you in that ring or cage, because they're not going to pull out a gun and try to shoot you. They're not going to pull out a knife and try to stab you. Now, God forbid if they ever did. Holy hell.
Then the commission's got a problem on their hands.
Yeah, major problem.
Right.
But let me ask you this, and this is just off the wall question. How many times have you seen, a wanted poster in your office, got somebody that you're looking at and be like, man, I just want to get him in the ring or the cage. Let me have fun with it.
Especially with the types of crimes that I work, those thoughts do come into my mind.
I'm sure it does. With domestic violence and
Which
rape and
yeah.
people touching kids. I'm not going to get started on that, but I think that if I seen a wanted poster in my office, I'd be happily signing a fight with that guy, and then I can arrest him because I got him afterwards.
That's funny. Yeah, those thoughts happen, but gotta be a pro, man.
Yeah, you do. You do. I mean, you got a professional fighter and a professional detective now, and congratulations on the promotion because it's been how long now? A couple years.
I got promoted to detective in the end of 17, and I went to major crimes as a promotion at the beginning of 18. So I've been major crimes since 2018.
Gotcha. Now, I don't know how it's like in Louisiana. I'm up here in Indiana, so I know that, COVID took a major toll up here.
Yeah.
How was COVID down there as far as your training? Because I know that there's kind of a window in there between your MMA and now your bare knuckle fights. How did that all come about down there with your training?
Honestly, especially because at the beginning of it, my focus was MMA. So Vita Jiu-Jitsu is my home. That's my gym, right? Greg Lappin, my buddy, he's actually a SWAT team buddy of mine. He's the one that runs that gym. And at one point, he says, "Look, we're training," and he opened the doors and we just said, "Screw it," and we trained. So it didn't, whether that was the right thing or the wrong thing to do. We had the kind of people that we are. I think not training and taking ourselves away from something that we're used to, it's almost like therapeutic for us. Mm-hmm. I think there's a lot of negative side effects of that. So we trained and we fought through it, and luckily, it all worked out. Nothing bad happened to nobody.
Right.
But it didn't really affect us, to be honest. Then transition into bare knuckle. That's one of the good things with this. I don't need a lot of the equipment. I don't need a lot of room. We're fighting in a phone booth anyway, in my mind. So give me a set of pads and a training partner, and we can get work in.
I like it. I love the mindset, man. I really do. Now, it kind of, you don't have to give me the full camp training process, but as far as Melvin Gallard in front of you, how are you training for this fight? Obviously it is your first bare knuckle, and we've kind of talked about that. But how are you training for this person?
Obviously, I'm a student of the game, no matter who it is. I try to, and luckily, with a guy like Melvin, there's tape on him for days. Even bare knuckle fights, he's got enough fights to where you can watch some video and see tendencies and things like that. Mm-hmm. So it's just a matter of taking the tendencies that we see, his strengths, his weaknesses, and putting that into play as far as things we want to do, or maybe things we even don't want to do, and just kind of curtail that into an environment of just game plan in that aspect. But for the most part, it's just conditioning, making sure that I can throw every single combination that I can throw, and every time we get into those exchanges, I'm throwing with ferocity, and I'm throwing with speed and strength that doesn't really deviate or change. It stays consistent. So that's what I really want. I'm a strong guy. I've always been a strong guy. And I'm trying to match that strength with conditioning that doesn't fade. And if I can keep that up for 5-2s, it's going to be tough for Melvin. Melvin's a hell of a fighter. And I know I'm in for a good one, but I'm prepared for that. And I know it, in my heart, I know it. I'm ready to take that dance and do that work with him.
Well, I know I'm definitely ready to see it. And I know a lot of other people are ready to see this. And one more question before we kind of go into the rapid knockout, and I'll explain that here in a second. But
okay.
Now, obviously, I know that you've for sure taken a bare knuckle hit over your years of either the professional side, day job, or the fighting professionally. What is the difference? And I've taken it not in a legal setting in bare knuckle, but I've grown from those days.
Right.
How is it different from taking a punch, whether it be a boxing glove, 12 to 16 ounces, to an MMA glove, which is 4 to 6 ounces? to nothing.
Yeah. But like you said, look, I'm straight white trash, dude. I grew up a sewer rat. I've been hit with many a bare fist. All right. So, but yeah, and then that's not including getting, while working. Obviously, people like to hit on us every now and again too. So,
oh yeah.
It's not a boxing glove, I think, is the most difference. I don't think from what I experienced, I don't see a huge difference between MMA glove to a bare fist. I think the only thing that could really change is the impact it has on our own hands, not so much what it does on actually getting hit. Obviously, there's cuts that play more of a factor,
right?
But as far as like, is it a more harder punch or a more powerful punch? I wouldn't say so. I would say MMA glove to bare knuckle, as far as what it feels like, is pretty equivalent. The difference is what it does to the puncher's hands. That's my experience, in my opinion.
So, making this transition now, they say, and I kind of agree with this. I probably not more so agree with it than not, that a bare knuckle hit is safer for the person getting hit rather than the person's hands hitting it, because you're not being able to just continuously pummel on somebody, because now you keep hitting them, your hands are going to break, or it's a, I don't want to say a quicker knockout, but you mentioned, the cuts can come a lot quicker.
Yeah. Yeah. The brows, obviously you're going to get cut. I would say the only, if a guy knows what he's doing fighting bare knuckle, and my trainer right now, Kenny Stevens, the dude's, he's freaking tailor-made for this, more so than fighting.
That's a good last name.
So, Kenny we're working a lot of things. You know what I mean? If obviously getting hit here with a bare knuckle, it's bad, right? But if they're hitting you up here,
it's gonna be bad for them.
That's bad for them, right? So you got that's little small things that you gotta be able to know about, and that's just moving your head properly. And then this isn't boxing. This is boxing, right? But this isn't gloved. Right. So if we can learn to do those types of things and where to accept the hits, I think we can really use that to an advantage if you know kind of how that could affect the person's hand. So there's little tools that we're working on and tricks we're working on that I think is gonna be pretty good. But the way, honestly, this isn't like to say I'm just, if anyone knows about me as a fighter, I've one punched a lot of cats. So could I hurt my hand? Sure, but it ain't going to come from landing 10. It's going to come from one good one. You see what I'm saying? So, but that's neither here nor there. But yeah, I'm not thinking about that. There's certainly, it's a dangerous sport, cuts, breaks, and things like that. But that just comes with the territory, and we all know that. But yeah, it is what it is, I guess.
Precision is absolutely key in bare knuckle.
100%.
You do not have those padding.
That's
to
right.
Have extra blocking.
And believe it, that is legit focal point of training. Is where not to punch and where to maneuver our heads to get punched in. If you think you're not going to get punched, you're stupid. Yeah, you're going to get hit, but where are you going to get hit? Right. That's, if we control that, I think we're okay there.
I like it. All right, rapid knockout session. So what do? I do this with all the fighters that I talk to. Rapid knockout, 5 questions, absolutely nothing to do with fighting. You ready?
Okay. All right.
First question: favorite food?
Italian stuffed shells.
I like it, man. See, I'm a Sicilian. I like the pasta. Okay. Other than combat sports, what's your favorite sport to participate or to watch?
Football. I played football at the college level at Southeastern Louisiana University, so that's football for sure.
So who's your NFL team? Are you a New Orleans Saints guy?
Oh, all day.
Who's
7 days a week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a Fly Eagles fly guy, so I'm sitting on the bottom of the barrel right now.
Hey, they might have something going on. They just got rid of Wentz, huh? We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. He came here to Indy. Now he's in my backyard. So
okay.
Favorite music, whether that be genre, artist, group, what do you got?
Yeah, I'm weird. I'm like punk. I like punk music. That's my favorite.
Who's your favorite punk band then? You said you're 35, so we're close in age. So I know that there's years.
The Used. I like The Used a lot. I'll be corny. Blink-182's old Blink-182 is good. But the used Jimmy Eat World.
I like how you said the old Blink-182. Okay,
not the new one.
Good job.
I'm talking Tom DeLonge and Mark Hott. Those guys. That's what I want.
All right. Obviously, other than fighting and training, what's your favorite hobby?
Other than fighting or training, I mean, I would say filmmaking stuff. Video editing. I used to dabble in those. Been in a few movies, so that's probably my favorite hobby.
Whoa. Wait, elaborate on this.
The Philly Kid. That's all I'm telling you. Check it out. Google it. The Philly Kid.
I am.
All right. That's my little one of my little roles I did there. So
okay. I'm gonna look that up and I'm gonna message him and be like, okay, I watched it, and I'm gonna tell you something so you know I did watch it.
All right.
Whether this be an athlete or a personal, a personal relationship that you had growing up, biggest role model.
Ooh, that's a you on the spot with that one, dude.
That's my job, man. I'm not mainstream media, but I pulled some out of there.
Biggest role model.
If you got two,
I'm gonna be super traditional here with my beliefs. My biggest role model and how I lead my life is Jesus Christ. That's my biggest role model.
Hey, that can't say anything different about that. He was the man.
That's it.
All right, Scott, the Irish Spartan, O'Shaughnessy, give your shout outs, your sponsors, anything that you want to talk about. This is your stage, brother.
The main thing, look, I've had a lot of support locally for me for this fight. Obviously, my management team, Devil's Advocate Management, the Fight Sports Focus podcast has been real helpful for me. The Team Reaper for my clothing and everything like that. Law enforcement, military. I mean, I know what it's like to do that for a living, and the support that I've gotten from the law enforcement community, especially my own department, has been huge. It's not every day that you get support from people to take away from kind of what you do for a living and be able to go step into this environment and not worry about any sort of consequence to it. I have total support is pretty cool. So, I'm very grateful for that. And this fight's it's not, I say dedicated to that, but that's certainly heavy on my mind as far as representing law enforcement in a really honorable and professional way. So that's it.
All right, man. I appreciate taking the time out to join me on a little one-on-one here at Combat Zone. Folks, again, Scott, the Irish Spartan, O'Shaughnessy, March 19th, going up against Melvin Gallard in his debut bare knuckle fighting championship fight. Scott, thank you again. You're always welcome back here on the Combat Zone, and you better not come back to that precinct or that office bust it all up, because I'm sure
no pressure.
Buddies are going to give you all kinds of shit if you look worse than you normally do on a daily basis.
You're probably right. They'll definitely bust my balls for it. No pressure. I gotta keep my face. I gotta keep my face pretty, dude. So
that goes back to that. What is it? The Magic Mike thing? Team Magic Mike? What is that? What is that? Is that like the Hollywood pretty boy fighters? What is this, Scott?
I don't know, man, but I'll take it. I'll accept it.
All right. All right. Scott, thanks again, man. Appreciate your time. Thank you for serving for us. And we look forward to seeing you March 19th and having that hand raised.
That's it, man. I appreciate it. Hey, thank you. I look forward to talking to you again, man. Thank you.
All right. Sounds good. I'll get a hold of Nick over there after the fight, and we'll get you a post-fight talk.
All right, brother. Thank you.
Guys. Everybody, see you guys later. Check out BWSPORTS1.com for all the happenings. And we are out. Peace.
Later.